Hey, I'm Karid, and I'm joined by Hoan, and you're listening to A Bite of, and we are the harbingers of the penultimate episode of Doctor Who.
Thanks.
We're just doing word scrambles here, baby.
Oh, anagrams.
That's right.
I love it because, anagrams, we don't know them.
No, I just said our names backwards. They weren't really anagrams. I couldn't think of a way to make a word out of our names.
So we are finally at the penultimate episode for Doctor Who, season 1, season 14, whatever you want to call it. There's it's a part 1 of a finale, right? So it's going to be hard to be like the finale is great. We only have a little tiny sliver of it, so I'm very excited to talk about all the theories that we did not get right.
Right. It's one of those things where I guess this is sort of a penultimate thing where it leaves you with more questions than answers, right? We were hoping for some answers and we did not really. Well, we got one-ish. Maybe?
We got a few.
Yeah.
Yeah. So before we get into this penultimate episode of Doctor Who, make sure you're following us. Make sure you're subscribed to us. Share this episode with your friends, with your family, on social media. Spread the word. If you like listening to us, make your friends listen to us too. We like that stuff. Throw some stars our way. We got a Patreon, Pride Month, support queer, indie creators, because we deserve it.
Yeah. There's still half of the month left. You could still support us. Show your pride if you haven't in the first 2 weeks.
Yeah. Pride isn't just the first day. It's all year round. But, if you're feeling extra generous during Pride.
Yeah. I had a thought. All these websites putting rainbows on them. I'm like, why can't there just be rainbows there all the time?
There should.
Thank you.
Thanks.
End of episode. End of Pride PSA.
End of episode. All right. So spoilers ahead for, I guess, the last 60 years of Doctor Who. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. Come back. We would love to have this conversation with you.
All right. So let us officially take a bite of Doctor Who episode 7. The Legend of Ruby Sunday, written by Russell T. Davies and directed by Jamie Donahue. The TARDIS lands at unit headquarters where the team shares Susan Twist is actually Susan Triad, who is about to bestow her technology on the world. The Doctor and Ruby step into the time window with the help of a VHS to uncover the hooded mystery woman from Ruby's past, but reveal more than they bargained for. The one who waits, time has finally come. ...
So, general thoughts. How did you feel about the first half of the finale going into the finale?
Yes, because this was a to be continued moment, right? So I feel like my thoughts cannot be expressed in words. It can only be expressed in looking over here and then looking over there.
Uh-huh.
I felt like there was 2 giant things happening, and I was trying to pay attention to both of them.
That's a really good point. I think one of the things we'll get into about this episode is because I feel like maybe because it's a short season, there's a lot of things that they just have to pull together because the season's ending. So it's like, oh, we have this mystery and also this thing, but also this thing is happening. It does kind of foster a frantic episode, but in a good way, right? The tension is constantly building. It ends in this crescendo of what? I feel like I'm the Doctor. The last scene that we see the Doctor of him just being like, that's how I felt personally at the end of this episode, because we knew it was coming, but we didn't know it was coming. And they played with us this whole time, which I thought was really fun. But again, this is part 1. So I can't say the finale is great. I think it's leading into something that could be really great. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's definitely laying the groundwork for the final episode. And the thing that I'm most curious about is seeing if our 2 mysteries come together to be one mystery. And so I think we'll have to wait until next week to see that.
Do they actually relate, or is it just a coincidence?
Right. Everything's just happening at the same time, because that's just how life is.
Well, that's also in the first special with Ruby, the whole thing is about coincidences and everything. So it's is it just by coincidence, or is there a reason?
What if it's the goblins? This entire series has just been the goblins. After they destroyed their king, they've been wreaking havoc on their lives.
I mean, good for them. I hope we get another musical number for sure.
We're definitely lacking in music in this episode, so I agree.
Not for Marie Gold, though. I'm just going to come out right away. Murray Gold coming back in full force. I mean, he played with different themes that we've known through all of Doctor Who that he's done. Oh, it's so good. The last musical number, I was just like, yeah, yes.
Yes, I agree. The music itself is wonderful, but we didn't have any outright performances as we've had in past episodes.
Get the Beatles back.
Come on.
To do not the Beatles songs, but when music was gone.
What if Jinx just appeared at Unit?
I am missing Jinx.
Right?
Jinx needs to come back.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. So let's talk about Unit, right? I feel like there's 3 particular big moments in this episode, and it's like Unit, Time Window, Susan. So Unit, it's always fun going back to Unit in Doctor Who. I mean, it's been 50 plus years since the Doctor was like, yes, okay, fine. I'll like join Unit and be a part of it, and we'll have this team. I like this episode in that they gave everybody a moment to shine, and especially these actors of like, you know, a lot of times there's these actors that do things when they're younger, and then they kind of get these weird roles as they get older. But I like in this one that like even Mel was able to have like do something in this episode, and not like in the specials where she just kind of ran around.
She's just like, I'm here.
Yeah. So it's really nice to see that. I think Kate Stewart did a fantastic job in this episode. This is my favorite episode of Kate Stewart in a long time, because I really feel like she felt like the leader of Unit, and she was really protective of her people, which is something that I like about her.
Unit gives me, Unit headquarters gives me Avengers Tower vibes.
It looks like it.
Right? It does, right? Okay. I thought I was going crazy with that, but no, it looks very much like it. She's very much the leader of S.H.I.E.L.D. You know what I mean? And I love how the TARDIS kind of comes crashing through, but they're prepared for it, right?
They're like, open the doors.
They're open the doors. I think it's some sort of, built-in TARDIS tarmac or something like that. No one is fazed by it flying in, and even the Doctor and Ruby popping out. And in this scene, we have what feels like a lot of reunions, right? So the Doctor is really happy to see a bunch of his Unit friends. So Kate and Rose is there, which is kind of a big deal.
Oh, Yasmin Fennany.
Right. So he asks her, how are you? How's your uncle? Obviously talking about the Doctor.
Yeah, I just love. So it's weird that Rose is there to be able to work. I'm just saying child labor laws, whatever. I don't know what her job is. I'm happy she's there. Don't get me wrong. But it's like, why are you there? Morris is a great addition to this.
Oh, love Morris.
13-year-old genius. Fantastic. Probability of a trap, 99%. I loved these little reunions. I did find it funny because, we're so used to 13 episode long seasons, and sometimes we don't even get to see these people in a season. So for them to do a reunion like they haven't seen them in a while, I was just like, we have seen them. Oh, but they've been traveling. So I had to like put myself in the character shoes of like, why are you guys so excited to see each other?
Yeah, I know. Well, I will say, like, if I haven't seen my friends who I've known my entire life for 1 month, when I'm reunited with them, I can't get enough of them. So maybe it's that type of thing.
Imagine space and time in between that.
Right.
Yeah.
And, one of the things that we've spoken about is that there are adventures that we don't even know about that they've been on. So, right, we figure the specials happened around Christmas time in their reality, and now it seems spring, summer.
Right.
Looking at the Doctor's, garb that he's wearing. He's wearing a leather jacket and some jeans in this. So time has passed. And as far as Rose being there, it's kind of like, well, you kind of know about all this stuff, so you might as well have an internship here or something like that.
I also just love the fact of like all of this is happening and the Doctor's just sitting in the garden with Donna, just drinking like an iced tea and be like, yeah, this is fine.
He's earned it. He's
has.
earned a rest.
Speaking of adventures we haven't seen, so the episode doesn't really waste any time addressing the mysteries of what's happening and why he's there. So the fact of the TARDIS flying the way it is, while they've been doing it more, and I don't know if that's just because of budget and they can do it, I do miss the like materialization of the TARDIS in a way, that sound. But knowing what happens at the end of this episode, I think there's a reason why it's been making those noises, being a little funny. So maybe it can't necessarily do that right now. So he actually has to fly it like a ship. But this episode does show us glimpses of adventures that they've had that we haven't seen.
Right.
Specifically when he talks about Susan, right? And there's this woman that's showing up everywhere, and it shows her in different places that we haven't seen, which the effects and the prosthetics for her looked amazing. I wish we would have seen those adventures.
Oh yeah, it's like Terminator Susan. It's like White Walker Susan. Right? She looks like the White Walker King.
Yeah.
What is that? King Walk? I don't know what that was called.
White Walker.
The
Yeah.
White Walker, like the lead. She looked like the leader.
Yeah.
My franchises are all discombobulated. I apologize. But yeah, there were like two major adventures that we didn't get to meet her in. And I thought that was really cool. It's storytelling without telling us of the things that they've gone on, right? We've just been able to see, oh, they've done other things that we haven't even seen.
And I also like the doctor being like, oh yeah, by the way, we have this other mystery, Ruby Sunday.
And she's like, hello.
And I think us as viewers, we like openly were like, yeah, we have these two mysteries. They need to talk about them. But in world, it is kind of funny for them to be like, well, we're talking about Susan now. Why are we talking about Ruby? Like, she doesn't know who her mother is. It's fine. So
Get over it. No.
I thought like in universe, it's like kind of funny of them being like, okay, we're going to drop everything to like do this Ruby stuff. Which talking about that, I did feel because there was stuff happening and they needed to pull the threads, some of the pacing was a little odd because we started getting the Susan stuff and it's like, oh, she was this and this. And Unit already knew about it, which I thought was hilarious. And I always like it when the doctor, thinking that he is this clever man, is put in his place a little bit. It's like, you're not that clever. Like, we already figured out the anagram. We already know about Susan. So like, do you have any other new information?
Yeah, while you were frolicking around in Bridgerton, we were doing some real work here. Okay, Morris was really working on some stuff. Harriet is here too. We don't know where Harriet came from, but she's here.
Yeah. She's here. Only Harriet.
Yeah, exactly.
By the way.
Yeah. But we first see our first sort of letter game here, right? So the sonic screwdriver does have some other capabilities than turning things on and off. It's also progressing in any sort of PowerPoint slide presentation that
it already
you might
has
have.
it made.
Exactly. It's loaded right in there.
I just love the idea of the doctor, whenever he gets a new companion, he tells the Sonic, doesn't actually talk to the Sonic, but he's like, can you make a slideshow of Ruby Sunday and have it loaded whenever I need it? And he's like, okay.
Okay. It must be some sort of unspoken connection, right?
Oh, yeah.
How does the sonic screwdriver know?
It just knows.
It just knows.
Because the doctor knows. Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. So getting to Ruby, okay, we don't get any answers. So we're just going to put that out there right now. I will say the whole time window scene, so freaking cool. It was so cool. I loved the way it looked. I loved the use of a VHS tape, which is like, as millennials, is nostalgic, right? And I just loved the look of it and how they did it because they added the practical and real snow, but then had the whole background and the whole 3D rendering as a VHS tape, which I thought was really cool. But then when they were like, they all were talking like, but there's no way we can see it. There's no way we can see it. And Harriet's like, guys, it was 2004. Like, we have CCTV footage.
Because when we think of the past, we think of 1902, not of 2004.
Again, as millennials,
right?
Not being able to process that 2004 was 20 years ago, which is insane.
It was my first year of college.
Oh my God.
So there's that for us to just ruminate on. I think we just need to take a second and pause. For some people, Christmas is a time of unwrapping presents, of watching your favorite movies, maybe White Christmas or It's a Wonderful Life. But for Ruby and her mother, they watch the VHS CCTV footage of her birth mother leaving her and walking away forever.
Can you call it watching when the only thing you can see is static snow?
It's snow, baby.
It's one of those things where it's like, I think conceptually is like, that's kind of sad. Like, I get why you do it, but it's like, oh. And I do love, so I love Carla. I love Carla Sunday so much. And I'm glad that she was able to be a part of this episode. She loves Ruby so much. And the fact that, she does watch that with her every Christmas Eve is awesome, because there might be one of those things of like, I am your adoptive mother. And I can't help but think like, what if she did find her real mother? What is that going to be like for Carla? But the fact that she's so willing to be like, you need to find who your mother is. I'm willing for you, like, just go do it, is awesome. And it speaks to her character. Yay for Carla. I love her.
Carla had some really good scenes throughout this episode, really emotional, and, bringing that feeling of I'm here for you no matter what. I know I'm your mother. And I think that that's the strength of knowing that she is Ruby's mother, but being there for Ruby to kind of uncover this mystery that's always been a part of her. I also think that before we go into the time window, I want to talk about them retrieving the VHS and Mrs. Flood, who has been a bit of a mystery ever since the special.
Yeah. Who is she?
I don't know, but she's not getting you tea. That's for sure.
Oh my God.
She's like, sorry, lady, you can lay in that bed.
Is she ever going to get her cup of tea?
I don't think so.
Okay, so let's talk about Mrs. Flood since you brought it up. I have no freaking idea. Like, is she, let's just throw theories out here, right? Is she actually the doctor's granddaughter? Could she be that? There is something that is said in this. So there's some really good emotional beats in this episode that they do throw in. It's Russell T Davies. His finales are all about spectacle and emotional weight. And I feel like this one didn't hold back in that, and they were able to do that. So he talks to Kate Stewart in this episode about children because Ruby I think she mentions like, Susan, like your granddaughter. Could that be your granddaughter? So that's when that sets the whole thing into motion. Like, is she? Kate Stewart mentions a chrysalis theory. Like a caterpillar doesn't know it's a butterfly until it's a butterfly. Phoenix doesn't know it's a phoenix until it burns. So that's with Susan, right? Mrs. Flood, I'm interested in, she says something of like, what is it? Like, I've been waiting or I've been hiding, like something like I've hid myself away or something like that. And the doctor had recently said when he was talking about regeneration that we can like prevent death, but also hide who we are. And it was an interesting parallel between what Mrs. Flood says in this scene versus what he had just said. So I don't know. Is she Susan? Is she, I don't know, a harbinger for another god? I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know either, but it does seem like the TARDIS had some effect on her. You know, when we first meet her, she's like, you can't leave this here in the middle of the street. She doesn't know what it is. She's annoyed that it's even there. But then by the end of the special, she knows exactly what it is. And she tells Ruby to go inside it. So does the TARDIS sort of infect people around it or something like that? Can whatever is in the TARDIS leak out and go into those who are waiting near it?
Well, I mean, it has a being on it, so maybe.
That nobody realized was there.
There is, not to get to the final reveal too early, but Sutek, being who he is and thinking back into like the 1975 when he first appeared and everything, Sutek is a part of being called the Osirans, and they're pretty much what inspired the Egyptian gods. And Horus is like the brother to Sutek, and they've been kind of at odds, and I'm just saying, maybe Flood could be the harbinger for Horus, and she is acting like a activation type thing for Ruby, because Ruby has to connect to this, right? And what does that mean? Why is she so close to the Sundays is interesting to me. I don't know. That was a wild theory, but I'm just putting it out there.
Hey, that's what this episode's about. Let's just throw wild theories, see what sticks.
She keeps looking at the camera too. So these fourth wall breaks are just like kind of concerning to me because the doctor has done them. Mrs. Flood has done them almost every time. I don't know. So Mrs. Flood thread kind of, who knows?
Maybe just the theme of this, we're going too big. I think that we're like music and babies. The theme is just women. It's just powerful women.
Yeah.
All right. So don't trust them. No, don't trust the old lady down the street.
Well, not Harriet.
Right. Definitely not Harriet. Mrs. Flood is on the list. We're still wondering about Susan.
I don't know.
Cherry Sunday we can trust.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Cherry's amazing. She needs her cuppa.
Just give her a cup of tea. Yeah. That's all she wanted. So simple.
All right. So to the time window. From timey-wimey time travel explanation and sci-fi shows, the doctor can't go back to that time because he was already there. Paradox, end of universe, all of that stuff. It's a typical Doctor Who thing. Sometimes they break it, sometimes they don't. And in this particular one, he does not break it. I find it really interesting that whoever Ruby's mother is shadowed. And it seems like they could manipulate the time window in some way. We have seen the time window throughout the history of Doctor Who, but not on this scale of it being like a manifestation, but then affecting things in the present to bring something through that powerful. I'm still not, I don't have answers, right? We don't have answers because how is Sutek able to attach? How did they get there? Is it because of the salt at the end of the universe that the Doctor did in the Wild Blue Yonder? We don't know yet. We don't have any explanations, which I think is interesting for a Doctor Who episode. And the Doctor like to not know. But I don't know. Do you think that she's connected to Sutek, a different Pantheon member, or just something completely different? Do you think Ruby is her mother? What are your thoughts on her mother?
So one of the things I'm thinking right now, so being in the time window, being back in 2004, they have to stay in one spot. But the interesting thing is the cloaked figure kind of skips them, right?
Glitches.
It glitches. She can go past them. So it does seem like Ruby's mother is not just a human. There's something more about her where she has more power. And the thing that I'm wondering now is if Ruby is actually the key to defeating Sutek. And her mother, whoever she is, knows that she has to start her journey by leaving her at the church on Ruby Road.
I hope so, right? Like you would hope that would be the reason why she abandoned her child.
Because we see her, they're all panicking, going, "What is she doing? What are you seeing?" And we have Ruby's mother going, "She's crying, Carla, because she left her child there. She's devastated. That's what's happening right now." So she's not leaving there because she doesn't love her. She's leaving her there because she knows she's the key to saving the world.
I'm just going to say, Carla, though, if you could see her crying, why can't you see her face?
It's one of those things where, it's not so much about the face. It's about the body going like this.
Yeah.
It's crying shoulders.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? She could see her really back in the tears.
Yeah.
So that's my current theory, is that it broke her heart to leave Ruby there, but she knows that in the future, Ruby is the key to defeating Sutek.
That's like the best case scenario, right? You would hope that the parent that abandoned you had to do it for a good reason.
Right.
And is upset about it.
And the thing is that, don't forget, she does that long pointing at the TARDIS.
Yeah.
Being like, hello.
Yeah. It's one of those things of like, was she warning the Doctor of what's on the TARDIS? Because
I think so.
We see the scan and then we see the smoke lost monster come up. It's interesting. And also the Doctor says something about how his memory of this event keeps changing. Time keeps changing. One of my favorite lines in this whole episode is how he talks about memory is time and time is memory. But what he says something, what is the memory of a time machine? Oh, it's scary. I don't like the thing that, okay, I'm, stakes aside with humans, I am terrified for the TARDIS. Do not touch that TARDIS. Leave the TARDIS alone.
They're going to have to do a cleansing of the TARDIS, something.
The TARDIS is like there's infinite space in it. I am worried about the TARDIS by the end of this. Like, what is that going to look like? How, if they separate Sutek from it, is that going to kill the TARDIS in some way? If the TARDIS dies, what is this show?
How could they do that?
They can't.
Absolutely not.
They're not allowed.
No, definitely not. They can kill they can whatever. Get rid of as many doctors as they want. You can't get rid of the TARDIS.
No, you can't.
I mean, unless, no. What if he just drives around in like a very modern police car from now on?
Absolutely not. What if, this is just a theory, right? What if something does happen with the TARDIS and it being at Unit, is able to repair it, but it takes time. And so he has to use Rogue's ship. So maybe it's not as advanced as the TARDIS, but it does have the capabilities to do what the TARDIS does to some extent. So he knows where it is.
And then he can clean it up. And then he can go find Rogue.
Right, exactly.
Maybe the Doctor's next season is just about finding Rogue.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, so sorry. Back to Ruby, though. I had a thought of kind of the way that Sutek, there you go. The letters were all scrambled in my head. Sutek is being portrayed and kind of being like this bringer of death and destruction. And if we think of Ruby is joy and music and snow, right? So it does seem like that could be the perfect thing to fight Sutek.
So she's the key. It would have to be almost, right? Like Ruby has to be in some way the key to this. Like, is Ruby a Pantheon member, a god of some sort? I know Harriet the amazing scene with the entrance of Sutek and Harriet saying all of the other gods, the trickster, the toy maker, the maestro, the daughters, sons of malice, and all that. Is there one that is the opposite of each one? Like, you know, a lot of times it's balance, right? And so is there the good versions of these Pantheon members, or especially one that's destruction? Which one is life? Like, is she raw?
Oh, cool.
I don't know. Like, I'm like, do not know about gods that way, but which one would that be?
Yeah, our only studying of Egyptian gods that we've done recently is watching Moon Knight.
And Percy Jackson.
And Percy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think we have some interesting stuff here, especially the fact that by the end of the episode, Ruby is back in this time window.
Yeah. R.I.P. to Colonel Chidozi.
Oh, yeah.
Sad. He tried.
We only just met ye.
He did. We did. And Ruby tried to find him.
Yeah.
Couldn't find him.
And ye hath been dust to dust. He done dusted.
Yeah. So with the time window kind of breaking or setting into motions a lot of the stuff, I am very curious if it was needed. Like, the time window needed to happen for Sutek to fully bring himself to being. One of the biggest mysteries of this that we still don't have answers to, and hopefully we get them in the next episode with Susan particularly, she does seem like just a normal person. So who are these harbingers? And also, is Susan one of them, or is she just happened to be an unlucky person that Sutek chose because of the name Susan? And it might be a trap, right? Everything, her name, Susan Triad, anagram for TARDIS, everything is a trap to get the doctor to go there, showing him her face and her having dreams to get him to go to that place. But then the question remains, why? Why Susan, of all people? Does she know? Does she not know? Is she just possessed?
Yeah, well, we learned that Susan has been around for quite a while, and she's been a giant in the tech and software industry. She's kind of a genius. She's also very benevolent. So for Sutek to choose someone to kind of inhabit that has so much reach makes sense, right? He's able to possibly see into the future of this world and know that she is going to do a worldwide press conference. And at that moment is when he can release his whatever into the world, his Suteknianness into our world to destroy it. And so it seems that he's chosen her, you know, for a reason. And I think the reason is the reach. I mean, can a god dance better than this? I don't know. Rome, if you want to. It's all about the elbows close to the body and the arms.
It's very Theresa May.
Yeah.
Like, she's literally done the exact same dance, and it's hilarious.
It's also very Danger Will Robinson. Yeah. It's those arms for sure.
I love her. I love that this actor not only got to play all these characters, but really got such a great character to play. Terrifying. Also, like, sympathetic in the beginning, right? When the doctor first meets Susan, we hear from Mel that she's just a nice person.
She says, "Call me Sue."
Yeah.
That's how nice she is.
not Mrs. Triad.
No.
Call me Sue.
Call me Sue.
So it's one of these things of, like, this whole episode was playing with fans, right? They knew that we would be doing all these theories. They knew that we would find the anagram for TARDIS. They even found it in the beginning. As soon as they found it, I was like, that's not right. There's no way that they tell us this revealed this early. And for Sue to be somebody that seems so innocent, going back to Kate Stewart's theory of the chrysalis theory, was she always this? And she just didn't know. Because again, a caterpillar doesn't know it's a butterfly until it's a butterfly. So that's what brings me back to, was it always planned? Was it a coincidence? Reach. It's all about social media.
Right. Hashtags.
Yeah. I'm very interested to get these theories and get these, like, loose ends tied up. And also, what would it mean for the rest of the show and the series going forward?
Yeah. Well, I think there's something to be said about gods just using humans as their toys, as their playthings. And so unfortunately for Susan, Sutek did that to her.
Right.
And is using her. And she doesn't understand what's going on because she's having these dreams, but we all know they're not actually dreams. She's appearing in other worlds and following the doctor around. I guess the question is, though, why would Sutek want to infiltrate all of the Doctor's adventures in that way?
Well, I mean, so thinking back into the fourth Doctor with Sarah Jane Smith, they defeated Sutek by putting him in this like time corridor and like putting it far into the future to where he'll like die there. So like trapped in there.
Not far enough.
And like there's no, not far enough. And this is where like, so as a Doctor Who fan, I haven't consumed a lot of the extended universe stuff. I know there's audio dramas. I know there's comics. I know there's books. I haven't really consumed those. I've whisperings and kind of seen some stuff. And I'm curious if something in there would answer on how Sutek is able to do this and why he's there. Hopefully we get those answers. But I do love the thought of Russell T Davies being like, this is season 1. This is good for new viewers. And then they get a villain from like 50 years ago. And it's like, good luck.
Right. And my question is, in looking at these sort of, I feel like there's 3 representatives of Sutek in this episode, right? There's Harriet, who is the Harbinger. There's Susan, who is another, Scullian figure. And then there's the large dog beast that's living on top on the TARDIS. Right. So is that actually Sutek?
Yeah, I would think because Sutek as a whole has these abilities of like psychic possession and stuff. So that's why I'm thinking, I don't know if Sue is a willing candidate in this and she's just now possessed. And she's the main like conduit for Sutek. Like, does Sutek have to stay on the TARDIS to channel his powers? You know what I mean? So that's why I'm thinking maybe the separation between them is going to, I don't know.
Yeah, it's like he's using the TARDIS as a conduit of his energy. Like that is what is able to make him bring Susan through those adventures and transport her there. If he's stuck in this time corridor, he needs something that can travel through time.
Right.
Which is the TARDIS.
Right. And that's how Susan has been following them.
Right.
It's just connected to the TARDIS.
I think Susan Triad, the human, is just unfortunately a pawn in all of Sutek's
I think so too.
evil doings.
I think so too. I hope so. Because that's a very Doctor Who thing, right? It's an innocent person being put into these situations that is heartbreaking.
And we also see, that Mel, I guess part of her job with UNIT is to get some sort of, tissue specimen from Sue every day to make sure she's still human.
Daily.
She's always shaking her hand.
I love Mel being undercover.
Oh, yeah.
Because she is like the nicest and most capable person to do that. And you would never suspect it. And she's so good at it.
She's on the media team.
Yeah.
Okay. She's on the media team.
Of course.
She just walks into places. She's fine. I also love her taking off on her Vespa to bring the sample to UNIT. We need more Mel.
We do.
We need more Mel.
We need more. I think she came out, in the Doctor Who like book line, I think there is recently a Mel book that came out. I might want to read that.
Everyone just go, if you haven't, just Google Mel when Mel was actually on the show. The amazing curly red hair. It's just beautiful.
She is a better character now. Like she was great then. She's a better character now. Because like when she was in the show, it's a lot of running and screaming. It's like there's like, I'm glad she's able to like do something.
Giving the companions depth here in 2024.
Yeah. So let's talk about the reveal of Sutek. Holy crap. So Gabriel Wolfe voices Sutek, who originally voiced Sutek, who has also voiced the Beast, which is let's just say it's Satan, right? And so this is a villain or a creature that the Doctor has encountered. So he's been able to voice these like very huge characters, these demonic things, perfect voice for it. When Carla in the time window part had said, it's the Beast, I was like, there's no fucking way. Is it the Beast? It's not, but I like the callback to it because he does voice that character. I thought it was so well done. Having Harriet just list all of the things that Sutek is, the Destroyer and all of that. Terrifying. Everything like dims down. You have Ruby in the time window not knowing what's going to happen. It goes back to 2004. The Doctor didn't tell her what to do, which is like, what is Ruby supposed to do? She's just in that time window now. Like, hi, what am I supposed to do? Do I move now? Can I not move? But the reveal of Susan Triad having that like skull prosthetic and that wispy, gross looking hair.
Yeah.
Terrifying.
I think that they did a really good job, right? So in this these final moments, we're in two different places. We're at unit and we're in the studios or wherever that is. And we're watching mayhem in both places. And it's kind of like Kate saying to the doctor, you need to get here. And the doctor's like, no, something's happening here as well. And both of them are kind of spouting these words. We're watching the words on the prompter, and it's really just amping up the tension for that reveal of the skull.
It's so frantic, and it builds to that tension. Having Murray Gold bring that score. I do want to say, any listeners that might have catched it, in this particular moment, specifically when Ruby goes into the time window, it sounded like the score for the Master. And I don't know if that's purposeful or maybe just a new rendition of it, but I thought it was really interesting. That's kind of what I thought immediately when I heard it. And I was like, but Russell T Davies said we weren't doing the Master. I don't believe him 1 second anymore for anything because he's been lying this whole time. So is Susan Flood the Master? Is it Missy? I don't know.
This feels very much like the, what is it, Mephisto days of Marvel.
Yeah, but we actually have like confirmation, like the Mephisto in Doctor Who is Sutek and he is here or they are here.
So the question I have is, in all this mayhem, why does the doctor say that Ruby needs to go back to the time window?
Right. Again, this is part 1, right? And so we're left with so many questions. Yeah, we got the villain reveal of who's been waiting. Why? What does it have to do with Ruby? Why is she in the time window again? Why did it activate by itself after it seemingly kind of destroyed itself? It's a lot of loose threads here.
Okay, so crazy cuckoo theory. What if Ruby's mother is Amy Pond?
No.
And she had to give up another one of her children to save the world.
I mean, I love the Ponds. I love them. They're gone. The angels took them. I could not fathom Russell T Davies being like, you know what would be good? Having Amy lose another child.
That's why she was crying.
And having another River Song moment. I have seen people say, like, is Ruby's mother River Song? Is she connected somehow?
I was thinking that too.
I mean, I would love River Song to show up again. I don't know how I feel about that. Not that she couldn't have kids, right? Like, River Song is the doctor's wife. So that would technically make Ruby a child of the doctor. I don't know.
Well, and there's that whole conversation, though, in this episode with the doctor of going, well, if you have a grandchild, that means you have children.
Yeah. But then there was that whole thing of like a weird conversation of him saying, well, not yet. And so he explains it. I took it as like either him skirting around talking about kids and all of that because it's like a touchy subject for him, or because he's a Time Lord, they're technically not born yet in their like 21st century or whatever. But he still has a granddaughter because he brought her to this time. So like his kids aren't there yet, but his granddaughter is. I don't know.
But River Song goes backwards while they go forward. So she's already had the kids.
Yeah, we've seen the beginning and the end of River Song. It's all the in-between stuff that we haven't seen. So
River Song, this whole thing was about music.
I mean, that's probably the more probable theory when you put it that way.
Right? I mean, I'm sorry. I just keep seeing that video of the actors, obviously, but isn't it like River? They're like on a panel and she's she's whispering into Jodie's ear, like very sexily or something. Yeah. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
So that just makes me think that she's having babies.
Maybe.
Yeah. Unfortunately for the Pond line of children, they're just destined to always have to give up their daughter.
Let's not do that to the Ponds. They've had enough. They got taken by the angels and all of their life potential is gone. So let's not bring them back. Of all the companions, don't do that to them.
Where's Karen been these days?
Yeah.
Hello. She's been on the Doctor Who set.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. All right. So loose threads, the only ones that we have going forward. Who is Ruby Sunday's mom? Why and how Sutek? That's literally what I wrote down. Why and how Sutek, and how it all connects together. Mrs. Flood. Hopefully, we'll find out. Those are the questions we really have for the last episode.
And a part of me is thinking we might not get any answers.
I hope we do.
I think that we're going to see who's under the hood, right? Because that's kind of one of the final moments that we're left with is the hooded figure coming towards Ruby.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, it goes to be continued. So I'm thinking that we will get that answer. And I feel like a lot of times when a penultimate episode ends in a frenzy like this, we're going to have a very calm flashback to start this next episode.
Yeah, he typically either does like a flashback with something we need to know for the episode, or it picks up right where it stopped.
Right.
Because Sue was going straight for the doctor. She was about to try to turn him to dust.
No touchy.
There is a scene. The only thing that I think we've seen from the finale in the media that has come out is it looks like a bunch of sand is engulfing the city. And that makes me think, is it like sand or is it like dead people?
Oof.
So like, that's not good.
No.
I'm terrified. Like the stakes are very high. Like Sutek, and especially this incarnation of Sutek, who, by the way, the visual effects people need to be praised for this episode. Everything looked amazing from the practical to the special. Fantastic. Sutek looked cool.
Yeah, Sutek looked cool. I love the practical makeup on Susan and Harriet. That was very cool.
Even the Vlinks looks awesome.
Yeah.
I love the Vlinks.
Da-da-da. Doing some typing.
Yeah.
Love them.
Ooh, okay. Let us know your thoughts. What did you love? What did you know? Oh my God, I just thought of something. Sorry, end of episode. This is how these go.
Rewind.
This is a review / reaction, right? There was a very specific moment with Harriet. I don't know if you caught it. And the only reason why I thought about it is because I don't know the conversion rates for measurement, okay? What I do know is that she said the CCTV footage was 66 meters away from where Ruby was left. In 73 yards, when Ruby meets with Kate Stewart, she talks about all the distances and the conversion rates. 66 meters is 73 yards. The only callback we've gotten to 73 yards, because 73 yards events are kind of erased. So how would they come back? I don't know if it was just like a callback to the episode or it means something. I don't know, but that's a good looking out. Just wanted to put that out there.
I also want to just think about sort of Sutek's army of skullheads. Like I feel like he can make them pop up everywhere. I think that there are people that are going to exist.
Sleeper agents.
Very much like Prime Sentinel. You know what I mean? Like that type of thing where it should be like, bam, bam, skullhead.
Well, he can possess.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll see if he does create that. I mean, his whole thing, he wants to destroy everything. He wants to destroy life. He wants to take away the burden of choice, which is death. So it's scary. He's a very paranoid guy. So it's not good.
It's not good at all. Poor Susan.
Oh my God. So next week, finale.
Oof.
Guess we'll see you then.
So many questions. Hopefully they'll be answered.
Goodbye.
Bye.